hello and welcome everybody to the Drip Drop Distro Studio. I'm here. The beautiful thing about today is I'm here with a couple actual experts, real experts, Kyle and Brett. We're going to sit here and we're going to chat a little bit and just kind of go over the industry. So
when do the experts get here?
Yeah.
Can't wait to meet them.
Let's get it going, y'all. All right. So Kyle, where do you come from and what brought you to Drip Drop?
Well, so I've been in the industry for about 15 years. I was one of the founding members of Winship Trading. We were an accessory distributor out of Texas. And we took the company public, and that was a horrible mess. I do another episode about why I never did do that. And I started looking at people I knew in the space and what I wanted to do. And I'd met Douglas T. Campbell a couple times at the SSE trade shows. And I bumped into him at MJ Biz. Sent him a goofy text where I was like, so he'd make sure he had my number. And I was like, Kyle, formerly Winship Trading, maybe Drip Drop one day. And he was like, wait, are you fucking serious? He's like, we got to go. He was with Troy at the time, his partner. And he's like, we got to go talk to this guy right now. And I was talking to 5 or 6 different companies at the time, thinking where I wanted to land, what I wanted to do. And Doug just made a compelling argument to come help with this, our little train wreck out here. And it's been a lot of fun. Like 9 months now.
Yep, it's a fun but chaotic place, but that's why we love it. Brett,
the Winship Trading ship, the logo, does it have a name?
We got rid of the ship logo. We got away from the nautical theme.
It's a great question.
And then the joke became the logo was the anchor, which is not really a good thing you want to have to be known for, is like dragging you down.
That's like when vape companies were really obsessed with selling vapes with skulls and crossbones on them. A lot of people associate that with poison.
As they should.
Or the ick guy from the poison control sticker. I never thought that was a good move, but yeah, anchor, Winship, I get it.
Just thinking something with a canoe.
For sure, yeah.
It's just something. Okay.
All right, Brett, you.
Hi, Mikey.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, man. You?
Great. What brought you to Drip Drop, Brett?
It was an act of desperation, really.
Yeah, same.
No, I had spent 30 years at a small family grocery store based out of Northwest Arkansas, and it was really time for a change. I think I'd done everything I could there, and I saw an opportunity here to, I met 3. Motu was actually there. He's not counted in the 3, but he was there. I met 3 really bright guys that knew business, but didn't know how to run a business, if that makes any sense.
Yeah,
they're successful, and I'm not saying they're not, and I'm not saying they're not smart. I'm saying they're I think the technical term is the way that it goes. No, they're
2023. You can't say that anymore.
They're delayed.
They're developmentally delayed. But in business,
they're on the spectrum.
I saw an opportunity to provide some value to their business, in areas that I understood, and the one thing that I'll say that actually attracted me, I've been saying this. They were telling me, "Oh, we sell Kratom and all this," and I was literally in Troy's office and I had my phone, and I'm literally like this. I literally Googled what is Kratom.
What is a Kratom?
I'm like, because it was a 30-minute meeting.
Sure.
That went 4.5 hours.
So you're a real hustler, is what you're
Well, no, Doug was there.
Yeah, okay.
So it would have been a 30-minute meeting with Troy and Motu. And like, oh hey, but Doug's like, when I was 16, I had a backpack full of weed, and I would, anyways. The thing that really brought me in here is that they're real people, and that they told me their real story.
Sure.
And it seemed like they were interested in me rather than interested in a person, and I still feel that way, and that's why I stay.
Yeah. Well, it's a fantastic business, and not to go into too much of my history because it's a long story, but I started in the very, very beginning, the first day of the company beginning. It was late 2014, and I was drawn to exactly the same thing. Troy wasn't involved, but I knew him inside of the industry. Troy, for anybody that doesn't know, Troy Palmer was one of the founding members of Lotus Vaping Technologies, he was really at the forefront of the counterculture industry, and it wasn't just vaping. Troy was in a lot of things. He's a natural, not just leader, but a natural visionary. And I always respected him. I was very young when I met him, and I respected the shit out of the guy. And then he introduced me to Doug Campbell, and Troy went and served his country, as I like to say to people. And when I met
Air Force.
The prison force,
Okay.
Yeah.
federal prison force. But Douglas, I met him. It was an insane introduction. I met him. He had his pants unbuttoned. He was tucking his shirt in, but it was still pretty gross. Uh, and but I could tell by the way he spoke and the way that the passion that he had that he was a real leader, a real salesman. I had never quite seen anybody talk the way he talked and act the way he acted and approach business the way he did. And I was pretty young to the idea of entering into the small business realm. I had been working for distributors and warehouses and manufacturing facilities, and meeting him and him kind of showing me that you can be kind of a outcast, a black sheep, but still hustle and make it happen. I was just drawn to it, and I've been doing it for 9 years now. It's been amazing. It really has.
That's cool. It's like you said, like the chaos around here. I think it's one of the things that really drew me in is like working for a company from literally we started in a garage. We used to sell pipes at music festivals and shit like that. And then we got a garage with some shelves and we were one of the first companies to sell grinders on Amazon. And I liked that. I liked the hustle and like you come in every day and be like, oh, we fucking broke it and like we got to fix it. And then we took this company public and we, brought in all this money from this private investment and all this kind of stuff. And it just changes a business. And when I came here and like I said, I knew Doug, met Motu 3 times. And the 4th time I met him, he's like, nice to meet you, I'm Motu. And I'm like, damn, this motherfucker. But I'm still not convinced that he knows who I am. But
it's a tsunami of new people with those guys.
Yeah, as I've learned.
They're very popular out there.
Yeah, but that chaos is one of the things that really attracted me to these guys is like they, more than most business owners I've been aware of, they're more aware of what they don't know. A lot of business owners, a lot of entrepreneurs are like, well, I have all the answers. I need people to come support me. These guys are like, Doug's like, I don't fucking know 9 of the words you just said. And he's like, and that's why you're here.
Well, and that's why, to add to that a little bit, he's been doing that since day one. He leans on other people to pick up his slack. And it's rare that you find, a founder of a business who admits they don't know it all, and they allow you to kind of spread your wings and prove yourself. And the cool thing about this place is the more you prove yourself, the more you're rewarded. And it's true here. It really is. It's not bullshit. It's not some sort of corporate place where they dangle a carrot in front of your face all the time and you're trying to do the best you can and then eventually become kind of numb to the idea of progress. These guys have truly reward innovation and forward thought. And it's a really incredible spot. But to move on from all of these things, again, you guys are industry experts where you are. We know that your background, Brett, is a little bit more, centered around customers and what they want. I know that you're a salesman, Kyle, but Brett was in the retail version of this not this industry, but a much larger. I know Brett kind of touched on it being a small mom and pop shop, but everybody knows it's Walmart, and he's an absolute savage. So, what do you think? What do you think as far as coming from there and going into this kind of counterculture specific type of industry? What are you like seeing out there that's different than what you've been doing for 30 years?
First, I don't know how the 3 of us talked about meeting the owners and coming here, and we haven't talked about how the 3 of them all have like the craziest hair.
Yeah, no,
I mean, you've got Doug that
it's true,
shaves his head, but he also dyes his hair.
So wait.
Yeah, Doug shaves his head and then dyes his hair.
I learned 2 things about Doug Gamble just now: that he shaves his head.
He does.
And he dyes it.
He does.
Transparent?
Yeah. So,
like,
no, so black, so you can see because it's going gray. So he dyes his goatee and he dyes his hair, so it looks like he has hair.
I thought Doug was just a bald man.
I tried to talk
I thought
him
he was a bald
into
man.
getting the tattoo. He saw some people when that was big. He saw some people doing it, and he confided in me and asked me legitimately, Mikey, you think because I'm the tattoo guy, Mikey, you think I should do that?
Get a fade tattoo?
I told him you better do it. Yeah, he wanted to get like a hair. Well, I don't know if he wanted it. He considered it though. He asked my opinion. I really tried to push him into doing it.
Dude, we should have done it for him with
I
like
thought
a felt
it was hilarious. I know I should have. I've tried to get him to do it. I tried to convince him to do it. I think that Doug's afraid, first off. For all of the great things that he can do, he's absolutely terrified of anything that involves any sort of challenge physically. That's why he he looks the way he does.
Well, and then you have Troy.
That's a joke, by the way, everybody. That's a joke.
You're like,
You
sorry,
gave
Doug.
Troy credit. You gave Troy credit for Lotus. Troy actually is credited in the Encyclopedia Britannica with inventing the male scrunchie.
No,
for
you're
his-
right, yeah.
For the ponytail.
Yeah.
And then Motu might as well be Moana or the dude in Moana.
Maui.
I don't know.
Maui.
Yeah.
Maui, right?
It's a cast of characters.
Except that guy's funny and people like him.
Yeah.
Right. Other than that, Motu looks like him.
Yeah, it looks like him. Yeah.
Yeah,
kind of a
he's the
prick.
body double. For sure.
Well,
We definitely need to put a photograph
Of Moana, not
Troy.
Dwayne The Rock
Moana,
Johnson.
yeah.
Yeah, not
Photograph of Troy
DJ.
Palmer in the background right now. And the day that he stepped out from serving his country and reintroduced himself back into Idaho, where we're from, I remember the first time
Idaho.
Yeah, you're right. I remember the first time I saw him. He came out and he had the beard and he went in there with a goatee and short spiky hair and like affliction gear on. He came out with a gray sweatsuit and beard or a full beard, long hair with a ponytail, and I said, Jesus Christ, that's
Some
Troy Palmer.
some people
He
go.
looked like
Some people
Jesus.
go to prison and they find Jesus. He went in prison, became
yes.
Jesus.
what was the question you asked me?
I asked you what the difference is you've seen, or how you perceive this counterculture specific industry, and what are you seeing out there that's different than the more traditional background that you have as far as the market and how people do business.
I think there's a lot more marijuana in this industry than there is in Walmart.
for sure.
I don't know how much
Immeasurably.
more. I met a bunch of my friends who worked at Walmart, and I bet there's
Yeah, there is
plenty of weed at
there's a
Walmart,
lot.
buddy.
I mean, I found some,
Sure.
but we're not walking around going, hey, you wanna,
neither are we,
And
for
the
the
funny
record.
thing is,
We have a drug-free campus.
I have
This is
videos
Idaho?
on my phone of it happening in groups during trade shows.
Sure.
Up in the adult space, because there's some other things happening, but we'll get to that later. You know what? I actually, it's interesting this side of the business. I see a lot more innovation. It's really exciting to see people, and they kind of get their dreams come true, and then they come to me with this is their dream, right? And they're like, man, I'm gonna make $100 million off this, and I'm like, oh, honey,
Yeah,
sweetie,
it's
no,
adorable.
sweetie,
like the papers
you know,
like that today.
I know some people have
negative name drop anybody.
Yeah.
and it's really cool to be part of it, to give some people some reality. You know, somebody is trying to sell. It is a great product. It's a silicone tip for Jay, and I'm thinking at $9.99. I'm like, okay, for 100 of them,
Yeah.
that's a $2 item, and I know, when we talked, it's like 14 cents all in. 14 cents all in.
Sure.
I'm like, bro, let's just make 1 million of these goddamn things.
Yeah.
For 140 grand, and let's put a fishbowl of them in every store, and everybody's buying them for $1, and you're selling these things, and then you get your name out. So it's fun to mix it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But to answer your question specifically, the differences are less marijuana.
Sure.
And I always thought it was Mary Jane. And
It was when
somebody had to
back
teach
when
me.
weed was
That's the
grass.
boomer in him,
Yeah.
And Doug, the day he hired me, Doug's like, "This is going to be our next big thing." And now there's $9 million over
What he
here.
meant was physically large in our
Yeah,
warehouse.
there's going to be
It's
more
gonna
inventory of
take
this
up-
than you've ever seen.
It's going to take up a large amount of space.
And I'm like, yeah, there's a lot, but I didn't know what it was. And he goes, oh, it's cones. And I'm like, okay, cool. And then then like a week later, I'm hired. I'm like, okay, so what are cones? And he goes, you don't smoke them? And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
And he goes, you don't smoke marijuana? And I said, no. And he goes, God damn it. If I would have known that, I never would have hired your ass.
Yeah.
I'm like,
You're like,
okay.
and that's why I said it today and not a week ago.
I still don't smoke it. I enjoy the aroma.
Sure.
When Doug's around,
everyone's favorite
he's.
part.
when Doug's
I like to
around.
get a sniff of his collar.
yeah.
That's why he shaves his head so it doesn't stay on there.
Yeah.
One more thing about the industry, though, in all sincerity, is the people are very genuine, and
Yes.
this is, in that other one, we'd go to a meeting, and you'd have 7,000 managers there, you'd have
Sure.
10,000 people in this arena, and we'd go walk these huge halls, and everybody's sizing, I did $8 more in sales than you did last year, motherfucker.
Yeah.
But here, everybody's
That was
inclusive.
an Alabama
dude.
store manager
They just
impression.
everybody will take you as you are, and
Yeah.
it's been very welcoming, very inviting. And I am the only person that's ever gone to one of these trade shows that doesn't smoke, and I'm still allowed.
You're an anomaly, absolutely.
Yeah,
and
people
you're
are
right.
like-
There's a ton of passion in this stuff, and I couldn't agree more. There's a lot of people that we've seen over the years, and like you said, like it's really hard to convince somebody who is on that hustle and on that grind, and they have this cool thing, and it's hard to convince that guy that selling a million things for $1 is easier than selling one thing for $1 million when it comes to this type of what they're getting into.
Well put.
Yeah, and you run across that quite a bit, but there's a lot of malleability that you find with with even young people coming up, and it's you know, I'm not saying that I'm some old guy that knows a lot of stuff.
Malleability, the ability to mold to a form.
Yes,
Keep going.
We should have we get like definitions across the bottom of the
that's
screen.
why Brett's here, dude.
Mike, he always drops that one guy, I don't know, with the flathead, he drops the names, you drop the words. Keep going.
Yeah. Oh, the flathead guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, he's
well,
the name
smooth.
guy.
Let's say smooth.
Yeah. But you do see a lot of that, and it's
There's a name.
it's really it's almost a
I'm not saying his name intentionally.
no, we know
So
You're not going to drop his
I'm
name.
not going to reward that behavior.
it's almost a kind of a magnifying glass on evolution. You get
I didn't do
goodness
it.
gracious.
Wait a minute. Can I see that? Seriously.
Yes, you can. Absolutely. Yeah. Make a gravity bong out of it.
This Dasani Coca-Cola product water brought to you by the former head of marketing
Yeah.
for
Nestle water.
Nestle Water. Anyways, keep going.
Anyway, same question for you, Kyle. I know that you weren't it sounds like your background is inside of this industry. You kind of came up like, you know, directly in it.
Yeah.
What are you seeing out there? What do you, I mean, I know the thing is you're going to shows, you're on the
It's funny. There's an interesting segue from kind of like what Brett's saying about like mainstream business and the difference between counterculture and all that. I've seen the difference between like we operated in a gray at best area when we started. You know, it's
Sure.
like when we were selling glass, like it was back when you're like, there's no B in water pipe, you know, and like you can't say bong and that kind of shit.
Yeah.
And we were selling, you know, we were driving around the country going to like Wakarusa in Arkansas, and like we'd have a trailer full of glass pipes, and we're like, fuck, I hope we don't get pulled over and arrested for 9,000 counts of paraphernalia and stuff like that. And like I said,
the risk is there, man.
yeah, and like I said, we were one of the first companies to send grinders to Amazon fulfillment. That was when FBA was kind of new. This was like 2011-ish. And so we've seen the slow like maturation of this industry from all gray area to coming much more mainstream, completely legal in some places.
Yep.
Statewide, obviously, not federally anywhere. But it's been really interesting to see that development of like as it becomes more normalized and the language changing, and there's a lot more advertising. I mean, back we couldn't even have a Facebook profile for our business
Sure.
back then, and now you got people advertising everything except for plant matter, basically.
Yeah.
Meta allows most anything else, so it's been really really interesting to see. And one of the things I love about this industry is there's big money here.
Yep.
But it's still got a cottage industry vibe. Like you're talking about managers that like, you know, it's a very competitive space and there's a lot of business competition and all that kind of stuff. It's like, yeah, that exists in this space, but you see competitors sitting at the table together and like drinking and they're best buddies and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, it still has that, like, it's still us against them. And
Sure.
the them is everyone that's outside of this space. And that's really what I like most about our industry is there's an opportunity to have real career paths and growth and business development and all that kind of stuff, but we're all kind of still like a bunch of fucking knuckleheads.
Yeah.
And
agreed.
and it's cool. And I've seen it happen where, you know, again, going back, we took this company public and we had people coming in from Molson Coors and Diageo, these big liquor companies and all that stuff. And they'd come in and they'd be like, man, this is way more fun. It's the same basic work, but it's like, it's just different people. It's
Yeah.
more fun. The vibe is just a little bit different. And yeah, it's like, it's a cool piece to have as part of my like day-to-day business.
Sure.
And but man, there's always fucking kooky new ideas and all kinds of shit that just it doesn't have any legs, but all these little businesses still get kind of a day in the sun because we're a pretty small community. And so it's like somebody goes to a trade show and they got their 10x10 and they got their stupid idea and they still get to try it out and throw it out there. You couldn't do that in like a grocery wholesale business. You couldn't go to like the NACS trade show and be next to Budweiser and Red Bull with these $1 million booths and you're like, I made a new kind of straw that you drink with, you know? And so I like that this space really accommodates that stuff.
Yeah, and people seem to be there's this kind of strange thing and more I guess corporate environments you could say where there's a lot of protectiveness over information. There are people who like to guard information. Like if they have figured out how to come up or how to, you know, a good place to go to find something or a good contact here or a good contact there, a lot of people won't release, they won't let go of it. It's theirs and they want to hold on to it. And you even see that from you know all the way down to just an employee level, like a new employee versus some manager. That manager knows all the tricks and secrets. And that guy's trying to get him, but you know he won't let him go. And
Even within the same organization,
they're on a team. It's kind of, and this is you know a little bit of history of Drip Drop here. So we actually started off as a manufacturer. That's all we did. We manufactured e-juice, e-liquid, and distributed our own product. And that was all we did. We
It's
didn't
like
even
the bathtub days.
Yes, we didn't.
I mean,
even
they didn't do it in the bathtub.
we didn't
It was
do
all on
no.
the up and up.
I I have proof that we had a facility. But we the beautiful thing that coming into it, I was manufacturing this stuff myself on the street, kind of for myself because it was expensive, and I was broke, and I was trying to quit cigarettes, and I came across vaping in like 2010. There was they were called Cigalikes. They looked like a cigarette, and that was all that was really on the market. And so I started making this e-liquid. I had learned years before that how to make marijuana tinctures back when it wasn't. I mean, there was this happened in Oregon, where they're probably one of the most progressive places as far as the legality of all this stuff goes, but it was illegal there then. And I had learned from a guy. This is a kind of a weird one, but his name was Joseph Pietri.
No, really?
Yeah.
You know him?
Yeah, Joseph Pietri. I met him in Portland.
No
Yeah,
idea who that is.
He was called the King. He wrote a book called The King of Nepal. He was a hash maker, which is fucking crazy. It's like some bullshit.
Wait,
they used
the King of Nepal was a hash maker?
No.
Joe was a hash maker.
This guy Joe Pietri told me this is what he claimed, but he had pictures. He had the receipts, dude. He had written a book called The King of Nepal, and he had lived there in the 70s. He was like a fucking wackadoo hippie guy. He lived there in the 70s or whatever, the 80s, and when he got there, I guess he had found out that there were these big, huge open areas where they were farming marijuana. And
just to make hash, right?
Yes,
That's all
and
they
he
did.
was taught how to make hash, and then he became this kind of anomaly there, where he was this American guy who was living there, who was connected somehow to this growing operation. He learned how to make hash. He began to make it for the King of Nepal. That's the title of his book. And
He didn't want to go with the King and I?
No, he should have.
The title of his book is Making Hash for the King of Nepal?
Yeah, this guy. It was called The King of Nepal. It's pretty cool, pretty interesting book. But either way, I met this guy at some weird fair in Portland. He invited me to go check out his grow. He had an illegal grow there, off the side of the road.
The only kind there were.
Off the side of the road in Tillamook. Actually, like coming down the highway into Tillamook, he had a property that came right off the highway.
Cheese?
Yes, where they make Tillamook cheese. Absolutely, yeah. I pull
It's
up
a
and
front for a grow operation.
it
Yeah,
is.
it's just
Yeah,
like-
Tillamook grows marijuana. Actually, it's all facade.
That's not pepper jack.
No,
Let
it's
me
not.
get
It's not
that out there.
cheesy smell.
But this guy had taught me how to. I came out to his house. I looked at his setup. He had these marijuana tinctures that were extremely potent. You could put some under your tongue, and it was like the same as eating an edible. It was like
Dude,
already.
The first tinctures were fucking
Yeah.
crazy powerful. It's like RSO
This
and stuff like that.
this stuff.
yeah.
Well, this stuff was like just old school, like decarboxylated. Just like you would make butter or oil and then could put it in a brownie.
If this story doesn't end with him robbing this guy, I'm gonna be.
No, I didn't rob the guy, but he had taught me how to make tinctures, and inside of this tincture making, it was done with flavorings. It was done with vegetable glycerin. It was done with glycol based flavorings, and it was done with THC isolate basically. But the base ingredients, when this stuff came around, no one fucking knew how to make this. There was like 3 companies in the country making this stuff, and the point of all of this is that I kind of had a leg up inside. You couldn't fucking Google how do you make this stuff at that time. You could try, you weren't going to find anything. So I started experimenting. I found a supplier for nicotine from China. And eventually that led to me meeting Troy and Doug. But I still had
Is
no
that when
idea.
you were selling your shit like outside?
Yes, I was out in front of
That's
Troy's
a cool
store.
story.
Yeah, it's a good one. I met
Troy
Troy.
doesn't say it's that cool.
No, he doesn't. We were butting heads a little bit in the beginning, but the good thing is Troy's got a good head on his shoulders, and I did at the time as well. I think a little bit. I was a little more aggressive of a person. I was very young, but he invited me. He really is the guy that opened the door to this whole industry to me.
If you don't know this about Mikey, he's actually the Bill Nye of the counterculture space.
Yes, it's
Bill
weird.
Nye the vaping guy.
He loves to
It's very niche.
Dr.
And
Science.
I'm not trying to just go off on this. I was just giving a little bit of history leading up to the point I was making, which is when we started manufacturing, we started Drip Drop. We launched this brand called Harlequin e-liquid. I had no fucking idea how the supply chain for this stuff worked. I had no idea. When we started to meet people in the industry, I had zero pushback. I had people telling me from competitors, direct competitors, immediately telling me, "Oh, well, this is where we buy our stuff.
This is where we get our bottles.
Yes,
This is where we get our
this-
caps.
and there was zero competition as far as the sharing of information, the sharing of knowledge, and that just kind of was. That's the way it was then, and it's kind of still that way now.
There's less of that now, but you're right. It's like that. Like I said, it's that like kind of us versus them. And if you're in the industry, you're part of us, even if you're not a part of the same companies or whatever. And I think it feels very unique. Most of my work experience is confined to this industry, but from everything I know about industries outside of this one, it's like, it's fairly unique.
Sure, it is. Absolutely. Quick question, I guess. We've covered kind of your guys' background and the short first kind of history of Drip Drop. What's like on the horizon? What are we trying to do? What are we seeing as far as like a trend goes?
We as in Drip Drop, or
Yeah,
the space,
and I kind of want to
industry?
shoot this out to Brett, because Brett's been. I know you guys have both been out on the road, but I feel like Brett's been really diving into like bringing in kind of products that we're not. We're building a category of accessories which you're super familiar with, and Brett's just kind of out there plucking stuff and seeing what sticks. So
Doug told me one thing that always sticks with me. He goes, "You can't kill somebody," and I'm like, "Why not?" He goes, "Because you can't. You're going to get in trouble for that.
yeah,
You can hurt him, but don't kill him." I'm like, "Okay."
Words to live by.
yeah.
One of the
He's a smart
things
guy.
The wisdoms of
He doesn't
Douglas
look
T.
like it,
Campbell.
but he's a smart guy.
one of the things I'm hoping to do is bring some, for lack of a better term, some mainstream items
Sure.
to our company. I think it provides health to our company, because the counterculture space, as you both will agree, just from my observations, I was called an expert earlier.
Yes.
So it's an expert observation.
Every
which
observation I
should
have
be
now
paid
is now
for.
the
Yeah, you should
observation
be
of an
proud.
expert.
We're all underpaid, that's for sure.
Certainly. I see a lot of ebbs and flows in this industry, and Kratom is here to stay, right? And CBD is here to stay, and D8
It's
is
gone for good.
D8 is here to stay. All these things.
Yeah.
Um,
D8 is sinking like the Titanic.
but
That's the truth.
again, they ebb and flow, right? Because somebody's always going to have the newest, hottest Kratom shot, right? And somebody's always going to have the newest, hottest vape, something, all these things. So I'm looking to find some mainstays, some things that will carry us through it. And accessories are one of them. And I really want to, I went to some trade shows outside of our space. I shouldn't say that, but cannabis specific.
Yeah.
And I've got us going to MJ Biz this year. As a booth, so we'll represent ourselves for the first time.
Have you been to that show before?
I have never been to that show until
It's a whole thing.
until Doug and Troy Motu went last year. I didn't know it even existed.
Yeah. Is that Vegas?
Yep. That's where I bumped into Doug and Troy and
When they were MJB, I'm like, Mary J. Blige is here. I'm very excited about this.
I'm here for it.
Yeah.
Let's get it funka hunka. I love Mary J. Blige.
You're such
Anyways,
a good singer too, Brett.
Sing it again.
I will not.
lot of
so
talent at this table.
I want to get.
Yeah.
I want to do for the cannabis space what we've done in the counterculture space, and honestly, that's provide a really high quality product. And it's not because I work here, and it's not because I'm pounding shots constantly in research.
Yeah.
But I am. We put out a very high quality product, and there's a lot of pride and passion here around the quality of that product. And we're not a fly by the seat of your pants company. We're not mixing this shit up in a trash can behind the garage.
Yep.
This is serious to us. We put something out there that we're serious that the consumer gets a very high quality product. And so in that cannabis space, I think you both agree that you see those fly by the seat of your pants kind of products that just show up for 2 weeks. And then there's no...
They burn hot and they burn short.
Yeah, right. Great way to put it. So
It's like supernova products. They just burn out.
yeah, that's one of the things I'm trying to guide us into is to being that reliable product in the space. You think about a Craftsman tool.
Yeah.
It's guaranteed for life. We are going to have this vape is guaranteed for the life of the vape. It's guaranteed for life. We're not going to have that. But if we had the Craftsman tool of grinders and smoke accessories, and that's not to take away from the other ones.
Yeah.
It's just you have a saturated market. And in a saturated market, what do you look to? You look to familiarity, and you look to what's comfortable. And if we can provide that to people at a value and our service is a value,
Sure.
free shipping on all orders.
And coming soon, Supernova. By the way.
Yeah, Supernova.
Coming soon.
Hot new products from Supernova.
Wow, this is breaking news. Anyways, we got the fruit coming, but looking at some of the things that we're partnering with people on to take into dispensaries, I'm actually quite excited about
Sure.
it.
Because inside of this industry, when we're talking about shop owners and we're talking about these distributors that are buying from places like us or buying direct, they have to pivot a lot. There's a lot of because there's products here where they could be hot one day and gone the next day. We just talked about that, but there's also, regulation that happens and things can just blink out of existence. And so to bring, it's smart to kind of, it is, you're starting to see things like, glass pipes in a gas station. It's not, that's kind of unheard of at one point, but also specifically the other direction, it's very smart to be bringing these things in, like the fruit and more traditional items, and kind of tilting it the other direction, because it's exciting to see that part, but it's smart to be ahead, like you just said, of the other way.
There's like a portfolio stability that's being
we're going to be able to
offered,
stabilize companies that are maybe really leaning on Kratom or really leaning on.
They're over leveraged on D8 right now, which is probably the biggest problem.
Bring something in that people will buy every time they come to the register, or every time they're near the register. They'll say, "Oh, that stuff's the shit right there," and they'll pick it up. Thank you guys for tuning in, joining us. We're really excited to travel down this road with you. Drip Drop Distro Studio is on the map. This shit's gonna be amazing. We love you. Goodbye.
Am I getting paid for this?